Good morning, KNICKS Nation. Today is Wednesday. It is the 14th day of September 2022. I hope this Wednesday finds you healthy and safe. And I hope this Wednesday also finds your family healthy and safe. And that the needs of you and your family in terms of food and shelter and clothing as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders, who every day are trying to save lives, and those that pick up garbage for us to keep streets and sidewalks and highways and parks and wrecks clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover the teenagers and the children that are the victims of child molestation and pedophilia. The teenagers and the children that are the victims also of child prostitution and child pornography, along with even the adults that are victims of pornography and prostitution and human trafficking and sex slavery. And double curses on those perverts, those profiteers, and those perpetrators that are out here trafficking in innocent human flesh. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. There are nearly 600,000 men, women, and children in the United States, and we're now in a recession, which means the numbers are getting worse. 600,000 men, women, and children on the streets of the United States, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions, and blessings upon. For theirs is the kingdom. Today, as we stand on September 14th, things are quiet at Madison Square Garden. Now, I was hoping it wouldn't be quiet because I was looking for a trade. I'm still looking for a trade. I can't see how the Knicks can go into the season with the roster as it stands right now in terms of the development of the youth, in terms of seeing what we have. You see, we talked about the Westbrook possibility, the Russell Westbrook possibility. And some of y'all still don't get it. This is not about how much it helps the Lakers. Leon Rose, who I call the Don, makes moves years in advance of something he's about to do. I know some of you guys don't understand that because you listen to the media reports, media reports are always reactionary to something that has already happened. Or they are hype-mongering something that they want to bring into existence by conversation, to make money. That's how they do it. So they hype something like who's going to be available, what major player is going to be available, and who's going to win that player. Or something that's already happened. This trade happened, that happened, or rumored to happen. So that's what the media does. But in terms of long-term sustainable winning, Leon is doing it right. First of all, he's keeping it quiet. The media is angry. You hear people tripping because he's not letting anybody know what's going on except the public statements that he does make. And he makes public statements to MSG media and he leaks it out to people like Ian Begley so that we would understand. If we only listened, we'd hear what he's saying. But most people don't want to listen because the listening of the statements he makes goes against the hype that they want to create to make money. But he's quiet. He keeps it inner sanctum with the management and everybody's tight-lipped and nobody says anything. And this is excellent, especially in a place like Madison Square Garden, where for at least the last 20, probably 30 years, there's been all kind of noise in the media from stuff coming out of MSG, but not anymore. Leon keeps it quiet, close to the vest. He tells you what he's going to do, and he has spoke repeatedly in his public statements about development of the young core and flexibility. He has made moves in draft trading and attaining draft capital that puts us in the position we're at right now with 11 picks over the next 6 or 7 years. 11 number ones, not including second rounders. Okay. So at this point, if we get a Russell Westbrook, and this video is not about that, but I'm just trying to help y'all understand, it's for 2 years from now. It's for cap space in 2 years. Why 2 years? Because there's going to be a lot of top 20 NBA players available in 2 summers, in the second summer from now, 2024. There's going to be a lot of top 20 NBA players available. And you want to be in a flexible position to take advantage of that. Not to mention what might be available next summer. So an expiring $47 million is extremely valuable to you in 2 seasons. That's what you have to think about. And along with that, cap flexibility, because somebody will say, well, he's only trading these guys just for cap space. Yes. Do you want Luka Doncic? Do you want LaMelo Ball? Do you want a shot at these guys? Do you want a shot at Zion? 2 seasons. You got a plan now. What are you doing during the course of the 2 seasons? You're seeing what you have in Quentin Grimes. What do you have in Obi Toppin? What do you have in Emmanuel Quickly, in Deuce McBride? What do you have in Mitchell Robinson? What do you have in R.J. Barrett? That's what you're trying to see in the next 2 seasons. Okay? That's why you make moves now. You don't wait till the last minute. You put yourself in a flexible position to be able to pounce when you can. That's what flexibility is about. Flexibility means you can either go get a superstar if you need to, or trade, or draft. And you're in position to do anything like that. That's flexibility. That's what the Knicks have. And that's what they're creating more of. Now, that in mind, that I just said, you need to have 2 seasons where you're going to see what you have in your young core of players. They bring in a Jalen Brunson. Not a superstar, but the first real point guard for the long term that the Knicks have signed since Stephon Marbury. We've had other point guards. Raymond Felton for a season, maybe season and a half. His first season was really the season he was playing at an all-star level, and then they traded him for Carmelo Anthony. Okay. Since then, we've had stopgaps, really. We've had stopgaps at the point guard. We haven't had a long-term solution that you could just give somebody the ball to and say, okay, you're running the team. Now we do. Jalen Brunson's coming off a season where he averaged 16 points, 5 assists, 50% from the field, 37% from 3, 84% from the line. His career numbers are 4 assists a game, 49% from the field, 37% from 3, 80% from the line. Very consistent. Born August 26, 1996. He's 26 years old. He's in his prime. You got a guy that clearly is a point guard and can clearly see the floor. Somebody might say, well, if he's so good, why did he only average, some of you in Knick Nation, I know some of y'all are going to say, why did he only average 5 assists? Why didn't he average 9? He's playing with Luka Doncic, who was really the point guard on that team. And when Luka was out, Jalen would put up bigger number. Okay? We got a real point guard. Now, the video today's lesson is not about Russell Westbrook. Today's lesson, though, is about what can we expect from having a real point guard? Because many of us don't understand is, for the first time in their careers, guys like R.J. Barrett, guys like Obi Toppin, guys like Mitchell Robinson are having a real NBA point guard, floor general, play with them for the long term. First time in their careers. Think about that. RJ is in his 4th season. MitchRob is in his 5th season. Quentin Grimes, well, we know this is his 2nd season, but Obi is in his 3rd season. And these guys have never played with a real point guard. A real NBA point guard that could open up the floor for them. Now, we're going to talk about Julius Randle because he's a wild card. And he has played with good point guards. Julius Randle has played with Lonzo Ball and Drew Holiday. He's played on the floor with those guys. So he has played with a real NBA point guard, but we're going to talk about him in a second because he's a wild card. But with a Jalen Brunson running the point, he's going to open the floor up. First of all, he's high IQ, which means what that means among other things is you get a gazelle, a jet that runs the floor on an elite level like Obi Toppin does. Obi Toppin runs the basketball floor on an elite level. He runs back doors. He cuts hard to the hole. He recognizes when he has mismatches and uses his height to that advantage and his length. And when he gets consistent minutes, especially as a starter, he can shoot the rock too. Okay, but we're talking offensively. Defensively, he's come a long way. The thing with Obi defensively is the concepts of a Tom Thibodeau scheme on defense, which is really why Tom Thibodeau is one of the best coaches for Obi for that reason on the defensive end of the floor. It will bring him to a really high level on the defensive end, just playing with a defensive master like a Tom Thibodeau. Okay, so that's helping him become a better two-way player. But offensively speaking, Jalen Brunson will see him. How many times that Elfrid Payton was looking for Julius Randle, didn't see Obi Toppin streaking down the floor? How many times did IQ dribble with his head down looking for his shot while Obi's wide open on an alley-oop or back door? How many times did we see that? A lot. Okay. And then IQ would see him, would find him sometimes, but it would be like 1 out of 5, 1 out of 4 because the guy was open a lot. Well, Jalen Brunson's not going to miss him. You're going to see a higher percentage of the pressure being put on a defense because of the speed of Obi Toppin getting down the floor, looking at mismatches, and Jalen Brunson recognizing that. That's going to open up the floor for Obi. That opens up the floor. That situation, the Obi Jalen situation, opens up the floor for RJ Barrett because now they have to watch Obi Toppin. They have to account for his speed. They have to account for him getting back on offense. They got to get back on defense. And when they do that, they open up the floor for RJ Barrett, who's a strong young man. His strength, no pun intended, is his strength. That's where he excels. Bully ball. Okay. And if you open up the floor, he's going to finish a lot. He said he's been practicing his finishing, his mid-range, his short-term mid-range jump. Cause when he gets that down, it's a wrap. He's already improving in his 3-point shot. And with a floor general like Jalen Brunson, and RJ plays with a high IQ also, that's going to open the floor for him, make him a much more better player. Not only that, he's in his 4th season. He's been taking consistent leaps. See, everybody's looking for this giant leap. But if you really watch RJ, he's made incremental steps every year. And his scoring average kind of belies what overall he's been doing. So he averaged 14 in his rookie year. He went up to 17 in his second year. He went up to 20 in his third year. It's incremental. I'm expecting 22 to 23 this year. Not only that, last year he did average 20. He dropped the 46 piece. And he could have had 50 if he'd have hit his free throws. So he's got to improve on his free throws. But we're looking for him to be more efficient this year. This is the thing. See, I compare him to Jaylen Brown as well as Jimmy Butler. Because Jimmy Butler's a bully ball type of player also. RJ is going to be better than him. RJ is going to be a better 3-point shooter than Jimmy Butler is. Okay. But as far as Jaylen Brown, in Jaylen Brown's first 3 years in the league, he was extremely inefficient. He's becoming efficient now, but you're seeing him in his 4th and 5th season. Okay. And that's why it takes time, right? This is the league. So that's the same with RJ. I'm expecting him to become now he's used to the league. He gets open floor passes. He's going to be playing with a real point guard. I'm expecting him to become more efficient. That happens, that's when it's lights out. If RJ could just hit a consistent 75% from the free throw line, he's going to average 2 more points a game than he could have averaged 2 more last year, but he's going to be better. And I'm looking for that improvement. That's simply hard work and concentration, which I think he has in spades. So Jalen Brunson's going to open the floor for Obi Toppin and catch and make Obi more dangerous, and RJ is going to become more dangerous. That leads me to the third player I want to discuss that's going to be affected by this, by Jalen Brunson as the point guard. Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson, we know, lead the NBA in efficiency in terms of finishing at the rim. There's a lot of 7-foot guys in the NBA, but apparently he's the best in terms of finishing. Okay. And he's done this with no consistent point guard. He's done this with no consistent point guard. Now he has one. Okay. Now he has one. And so he's already shown to be an anchor on the defensive end, because oftentimes he guards two players, because oftentimes some of the starters from last year was not playing anybody, guarding anyone. So MitchRob would guard two. Now there's times where the 5 has to guard two in the pick and roll situation, but it's only for a split second. It should only be for a split second, because that's when you get a rotational help, which some players that were starting last year didn't do on a consistent basis. But this year, I'm expecting a change. And so with that, MitchRob becomes even better on the defensive end, but offensively, he has to also be watched. If you do not watch him, he'll get 19 boards on you in six blocks. If you don't watch him, if you got to defense has to put 2 players on him. See, now you have a couple of threats that are opening up even more because of a real point guard. A real point guard. Now, last year, let's talk about Julius Randle. Now, last year, second half of the season, RJ Barrett became more of the offensive initiator. Second half of the season, he was initiating the offense oftentimes. He didn't dribble the ball up all the time, but as soon as it crossed half court, they would give him the rock, and then he would initiate the offense. So it happened a lot in the second half of the season last year. And so Julius Randle was not initiating the offense a lot last year in the second half of the season. And that's actually good, because he's a turnover machine. If you allow him too much ball, to hold the ball too long, Julius is a turnover machine. Julius is at his best, aside from being in a mismatch on the low block, he is at his best when he makes a decision within 2 seconds of getting the basketball, which means you're going to either pass it, you're going to make a move, or you're going to shoot it. When he does that, he becomes really, really good, because he has high-level, NBA elite-level talent and physical ability. But it's all his mental makeup. It's all in his head. Aside from the fact that he can dribble into double teams, spin into double teams, Aside from that, he also sometimes, as I mentioned, hold the ball too long. And then what he does that drives me crazy personally, offensively, is someone will be open in the corner. Okay. He passes the ball into the corner. Then he runs toward the corner to get the ball back, bringing his man with him and clogging up the offense. Or he passes the ball to a wing and doesn't cut to the basket. Instead, he backs up behind the 3-point line, looking for the ball back to hoist up a 3. If he can move without the basketball, if he can create more space and be more efficient. See, we're not talking about a 22-year-old guy in his 4th season. We're talking about a guy in his 8th or 9th season now. And he's going to be 28 in November. So he in his prime. These are things you want to see him picking up now. So spacing, he can create simply by doing those two things. By when he passes the ball, cutting, and then moving opposite, bringing his man away on weak side. He could just help just like that. Now with Jalen Brunson, this is a key here, because it would help at least 50% of our problems with Julius Randle if Brunson becomes the leader, becomes the floor general that we expect him to be. In other words, he waves Julius off or tells him to cut. That will help a lot, because now Julius knows there's a new sheriff in town and this is his basketball. Okay. That's going to help a lot. See, then in those scenarios, and you combine that. Now, this is the thing with Julius also. Because he is agile, very agile at 6'9", 250 pounds. He's agile, okay? For a guy that big, and he's fast. He really does have speed. You know, he could run the floor also. And he's like a locomotive coming down on the fast break with the basketball. I mean, really, he can be really good in those scenarios. And so in those scenarios, if you limit those scenarios to where the opportunity is really there instead of trying to force it, that would help a lot too. And a guy like Brunson does that. Okay, so it's a wild card. Will Julius allow Brunson, or will he have friction with him? Will Julius be cool playing? Because Julius would be, because Brunson has the ball in his hand, de facto just has the ball in his, he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot as the point guard. That means he's like one or two option, because he's going to have the basketball in his hand. He's going to decide when he want to shoot, what he want to do. RJ is second option or number one option. So I mean, Julius is either 2A or 3. And that's good. Because if he's not forcing anything, if he has to make a move very quickly, and it becomes more efficient, it's going to be good for the Knicks. It's going to be good for the Knicks. Now, I'm not talking about, well, I am talking about, some of y'all don't want to believe, but Evan Fournier is not starting at the 2 guard spot. I've been telling y'all that. Quentin Grimes is going to be your 2 guards. He's starting at 2, and that's what should happen. He plays better two-way basketball than Evan Fournier. He plays both sides of the ball. No defense, no bueno. Some of y'all still ain't got that. You give this kid, Grimes that is, starters minutes for 30 games and watch what happens. Watch what happens. Okay? He's going to be good. Allen Houston 2.0. This year. Okay? Evan Fournier is in his prime. He could shoot the lights out. But he's totally inconsistent defensively. He is physically too slow to rotate on the NBA level. Defensively. He's a high IQ ball player, but you don't want him as your starting 2 guard if you're a playoff team. You don't mind him coming off your bench, though. And if he's on the Knicks, that's what he's going to do. I'm still waiting, because I'm waiting to see if another shoe's going to drop in this trade situation. But if the Knicks stand pat with the roster they now have, Quentin Grimes is going to be your 2 guard next to Jalen Brunson, and Evan Fournier is going to be on Mobb Deep, which might not be a bad thing, you know. But we're going to see what happens, even though they're paying him $18 million. But we're going to see what happens. Okay, that's going to be interesting to watch. But I'm going to guarantee you right now, and I told y'all before, mark it again, September 14th, Quentin Grimes just started at the 2. Now, some of y'all say, what about Cam? I'd love to see Cam start. I'd love to see Cam start. To me, Cam should be your starter on the wing, him and RJ. But realistically, with Tom Thibodeau, I don't know. I mean, we talked about this at the podcast the other day. If Tom Thibodeau going to really not be a hypocrite and just let the kids battle it out in camp, like in other words, may the best man win, and they just blood and guts fight it out to see who wins. Cam is the most talented guy they got, and that cream would rise to the top, and he would start. But we all realistically know Tom has 2 sets of rules. One for veterans, his favorite players, and one for everybody else. So his veteran favorite players, for example, you know Derrick Rose is going to play. You know now Julius Randle is going to play. Okay? And he ain't going to be held accountable. That's how it goes. Okay? Then there's, Obi, you got to earn it. Quentin, you got to earn it. Cam, you got to earn it. Well, Quentin's now, I think, in the favorite player category because Tom loves him. So let's put him on the favorite player category. But Cam, you got to earn your minutes. And like I said, if they were just to be allowed to play, I believe Cam's talent is such that it's to me, some people can't see it. And some people come at me, I don't understand what you mean by Cam. You know what? You go get you a pair of these here. Because Cam, that boy is talented, man. There's no doubt. High level NBA talent. Okay? Period. All-star talent. Okay? That's, to me, I see it. But he's got to get a chance and he's got to be healthy. Those combinations. So we're going to see what happens. Again, with a real, Cam has played, with Trae Young. He's played with a point guard. Okay. He has. So we can't say he's never played with a real point guard because he has. He's played with Trae Young. He just hasn't been consistently healthy in his first 3 seasons in the league. He hasn't. Okay. And so he has to be healthy this season. If he gets hurt, I don't want to hear from anybody. He's going to be out. That's it. He cannot. This has got to be the year he plays 72 games and stays healthy. Takes care of himself and stays. He has got to do that this season. Okay. Again, I'm speaking as if he's going to be on the roster. I'm still doubting that's going to happen. I just can't see the Knicks going into the camp with this present roster. I just don't see it happening. But, I could be wrong, but we'll see. But so I'm taking the attitude of, let's say they do go into the season with this present roster, even though I don't think they will, but let's say they do. I don't know what's going to happen with Cam. He's the talent that should be, if you're going to start your best 5 talents, it's him and RJ, 2 and 3, whichever one you want to put, 1 at the 2, 1 at the 3. That's how you're going to do it. If you're talking about talent. Okay. And MitchRob is still the most talented 5, right? And I would say Randle's probably the most talented 4, although I favor Obi Toppin. I favor Obi. It's my man right there. I favor him above Randle for lots of reasons. Said it many times. But I can understand. I won't argue if somebody was to say Julius is more talented than Obi and we're going to have him to start. But if you're going to start your best 5 talents, Cam is among them. Period. But I don't know if that's going to happen. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen. Okay? I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen because of our coach. It's not going to happen. Quentin's going to be your starter at the 2. And I don't mind Quentin, but I think the Knicks would be benefiting greatly by giving Cam Reddish a larger role because of that talent. Talent wins in the NBA. Talent wins. So anyway, that's where we at. But Jalen Brunson is going to really help certain players. I mentioned Obi, RJ, and MitchRob. He's really going to help them. If Randle allows it, and if Randle does allow it, it will help the Knicks win a lot more basketball games this year. So we're going to see what happens. But anyway, you guys enjoy your Wednesday. It's only, I think camp is in 2 weeks. So here we go. Camp is coming up in 2 weeks and we're going to be, obviously doing more videos as the camp opens. There's going to be a lot more information coming forward and we're going to see a lot more. Again, I'm still expecting a trade. I'm really going to be surprised if they go into camp with this roster looking like this with Evan, with Derek, just some guys. It's going to be interesting. Going to see. But anyway, enjoy your day. Be safe out there. So